Everyone on here, and I wanted to get this month's video out to you. Those that don't know me, I'm a coding interpreter, and I work to help people understand the different currents that are present in their life and the world in general. And you can find out more about my work on my website, compassioncodes.com. Every year I put out a book that has a whole wealth of information and insights. It's a sort of spiritual almanac. It's called The Code Journey. But let's get down to the topic today. This month in our video, I want to talk about why we want to focus on things of value. And I'm not sure if I've really focused too much on this, but it does come up a lot in the book. And it also is something that not only are we going to be dealing a lot with in May, but we are going to be dealing a lot with this in 2024. I've been busy working away on that edition. And so, it's kind of exciting, even though it's cloudy here, will be all week. It's just nice to step outside and get a little bit of fresh air for a moment and just enjoy the birds and the wildlife and everything here. But I really want to take a look at this aspect of focusing on things of value, because this is important, especially with the way our world is today. We have gotten, in many ways, as a collective, very disconnected from divine alignment, God, soul, self, all of those things. And that's not to say there aren't people out there, because I know a lot of the people that are watching this are really working hard to be connected in their life. But in the collective energy as well, we've gotten so far into the materialism, so far into things and possessions and status and things like that. And we're moving into times, as our earth is shifting, as the currents are shifting, that are calling us to stand a lot more in spirit. And like I said, this is really going to hit hard in 2024, but we also have this little piece that's coming up now that's so important to us. And so when we start to look at things of value, it's really kind of cool, because the harder times get in life, the more people are going to start coming back into things of true importance, true value, things that have real worth. And the harder times get, the more people are going to be reevaluating things, going, I'm not sure if I want to work all the time. And that's not about being lazy. That's not about just wanting to go out and have fun in life. But that's a recognition of, if I have to work a lot to have very little, then why don't I just kind of simplify a little bit so that I can enjoy life more? And I think this question is going to come up for people. It definitely fits in with a lot of the movement that we have of being more self-sufficient, of, again, reducing those material things and doing it by choice. And when we step into this life of value, we get so many things within us, so many things that are not things. They're intangible. They're experiences. They're aspects that you can't put a price on. These things. They're things you can't buy in life. And as they say, you can't buy happiness. We can buy things that give us the illusion of happiness, but we can't actually buy happiness. It's something that we have to experience. It's an internal thing. It's a non-tangible thing. You can't go down to the store and buy it. You can buy a lot of other things, but not that. So in this aspect, one of the things about connecting with value or things of value, or opening that up in our life, is to start to work with the natural seasons and the natural rhythms. When we start to focus on what's of value, we're going to naturally come into working with the ebbs and flows. And some people go, oh, don't go down that nature path. That's not godly. Well, we got a lot of layers and all of that stuff. We're going to have to break down some of those things along the way as we evolve as a culture, and realize that, our seasons, our days, our nights, our stars in the sky, our sun and our moon, these are all things that were created, if you want to say, by divine source, God, whatever term you're using, and that these are divine timing. These are divine will aspects So we don't want to resist them. Matter of fact, part of what happens is in the more industrialized, technological worlds, we get further and further away from these natural cycles and rhythms. And when we do that, all kinds of things come out of synchronicity. Our heart energy can come out of synchronicity. Our mind and our thoughts get out of synchronicity. When you can go to the store and buy whatever you want, whenever you want, I understand the convenience of that, but it doesn't hold us in those natural rhythms which we were designed to operate on. And so when we come into the seasons, and I've talked about this a lot in the past, of eat the foods that are present and current. Eat the foods that are growing at that time of year in your region, especially there. And that's not to say don't ever have anything else, but I'm saying we want to build ourselves more and more into those rhythms. All of life exists. When you look at the things that have existed, for very, very long times, and sometimes some things on this earth longer than humans and stuff like that. You look at the trees, you look at the waterways, you look at, the wind blowing. It all knows how to do it naturally. It doesn't fight the process. It just flows with what it needs to do. It knows when it needs to shed its leaves. It knows when it needs to grow leaves. And that's not put into a time schedule. You can't put that in a time schedule and say, okay, you're going to grow on this day during this time. And granted, we've come up with some synthetic aspects with UV lights and stuff like that. But at the same time, again, these natural rhythms are there for a reason. They're there to help us stay focused on what's of value, what we need. Now, also experiences. Experiences are very important to increasing the value in our life. And this is really about getting out, reaching beyond your comfort zone a little bit, trying new things, going new places. And it doesn't even have to be a big thing. I mean, like you could detour a couple of blocks out of your normal path. And this helps us to open up our senses. It helps us to engage our physical senses. It helps to build our awareness. It helps to bring us into a state where we are paying more attention to things. And experiences tend to do that, especially if they're new experiences. So there's a lot of value that we gain out of that, because that again holds us into our soul self more. It doesn't allow us to get into these monotonous routines so much. When we get in the monotonous routines, we go on autopilot. We're not really seeing things. We're not really paying attention to things. So it really brings up our ability to recognize, to see, to, when we experience, that actually comes in and starts to hit into our heart. And it starts to create memories. And these are the things that we have. When you get older and you can't go out and do things, or you start to have physical issues or things like that, those memories are really critical. Those memories are really, really important to finding, to having things that keep your heart full when you can't get out and do a lot of things. So experiences become a very big part of building value in our life. And then we move on to appreciating the small and daily things. So much we take for granted. We take for granted the sun's going to rise. We take for granted the night is going to come. These are all pieces that we need to take the time to stop and look at. Again, as an industrialized, culturalized, technological society, we don't oftentimes take the time to just really sit down and focus on a meal. Oftentimes we're multitasking, right? I'm guilty of it. I know I am. I sit down and I'm working while I'm eating. It's not the best thing for me. I understand it's one of the things I need to work on out there. But this aspect of we don't even take the time to recognize it. It comes up, it goes down, we get in our car, we go to work, whatever, your normal schedule is. And we just don't take the time to appreciate that food that's on our plate. We don't take the time to appreciate how amazing it is to hear a bird singing, or how amazing the space is that we're living in. Because we get more in that victim space a lot of times. But the more that we can come into appreciation for the small things, for the daily things, to stop, even if it's a few seconds, and recognize it, the more value we're going to add to our life. And again, the more value we add to our life, the more we're opening that heart energy. Now, we also want to look at the aspect that this provides a lot of valuable learning for us. And this comes in a lot of different ways. Again, if we go out and we are experiencing things in life, we're learning, we're engaging our minds that way, we're getting those new experiences, but also in our own basic environment around here. So like if all I did was look out my windows and I see, oh, look at this amazing lake out here, look at these great trees out here. But what I really want to do is take that to a greater depth. What is this water more like? What can I find in it? What are the resources that are living here? You know, the ducks, what type of fish are in here? What's the water composition? You know, I know it's not healthy to drink. That's visited all around where I live. What type of pine trees do I have here? What type of mushrooms are growing on this stump that's at the driveway? You know, and going into the depth of that and then learning more about that and what are the chemical compounds in that and, you know, what are the nutrients needed for those trees. And as we do this, this is a powerful learning experience. It connects us with our environment. It connects us with what is around us. It gives us a better understanding of how to care for our environment, how to care for our own space. And the more that we're caring for our own space, the more we're connecting with it, the more the space takes care of us as well. You know, it's kind of like keeping things clean. If you keep things clean, you don't have to worry about mold. You don't have to worry about ants. You don't have to worry about a lot of things, right? When you're taking care of things. So the more you can understand something, the more you can appreciate it and the more value it will begin to have for you. These are all layers that interconnect, and it's amazing when we start to get into it. So the learning that is open is magnificent, and of course that helps to keep our mind sharp, and again helps to open our heart, open our spirit up, and move us again more into that divine connection because of the appreciation, because of the understanding that we have with it. And again, if we know what we're dealing with, we know what it needs. We can learn about the nutrients it needs. We can learn about the nutrients it provides. There's so much learning. There's so much depth in the interconnectedness of things. You know, how we're connected to trees. Humans are connected to trees and the different resonances and the heart aspects and everything I mean, it's just so powerful when you think about it, but we don't stop and look at these things a lot of times. We just brush over most of the really valuable things in our life. I mentioned it before, you know, things of value, they cannot be bought. And that's one of the most beautiful things. And this is why when hard times hit people, when we have economic crisis, things like that happening in the world, then we turn to what's free. And this is why a lot of times people reset in a way when times are hard because they get reconnected with the things that are free. It's just like I was living over a bike shop when the pandemic, when we had lockdowns and things like that. And so a lot of people started riding bikes again at that time. They started, and that brought other connections for them. That brought experiences for them with each other, with family. It brought communications. It brought these things up. So they're free, and that's just an added benefit. You know, again, they can't be bought. There's something you have to be in, that you need to experience, that you need to connect with. In addition to that, we have making life more worth living. And how does it do that? Because when we connect with things of value, it increases our joy. It increases our happiness. Our spirit thrives in that. Spirit thrives in that a lot. And so when spirit is thriving, we naturally get that more euphoric feeling going through our body. We get those feelings, those endorphins are coming through our body. And that just opens amazing things. I mean, I know it even like when I go on the road, there are things that open up in me because I'm in these different spaces, these different places. I don't always know what I'm dealing with. And it's the feelings that come up from that, from connecting with things of worth and value in each area, that, you know, nourish that spirit to keep going, that give me a lot of the energy that I have to keep going. And so these are the things that, you know, you can't get them back. You can't replace them. You can't get back that child's experiences that they're having at 4 years old or 5 years old. You only get one shot at a lot of these things. And that's why, you know, taking the time to embrace them becomes very important. And again, once you start to feel that energy moving in your heart, that true joy, that true happiness, not the illusionary one that works like, you know, a sugar rush and then it drops you off and you're worse off than before. This is sustainable heart energy, if we want to say that. So it becomes very, very powerful. It also helps to provide more freedom, or it brings us to focus on freedom, or the more that we can create freedom in our life, the more we're experiencing things of value. The more we try to put ourselves on these structured schedules, these heavy, rigid schedules, and we don't take the time to offer the balance or the value, we actually are restricting our freedom. We're living in a lot of restriction. And what does that do? That creates deprivation mindsets, that creates a lack of self-worth. It pulls us out of knowing who we really are, because everything's constrictive and restrictive. So the more that we can open freedom up in our life, then actually the more we will experience value in our life. So freedom and value is very, very important. And again, that connects again with our self-worth and everything like that. So it keeps us from turning our power over to other people. It turns us from going into societies where we have no say about our own life, in a sense, or in relationships where we turn our power over to the other person, or we turn our power over to the job, or things like that. So it's very important that we keep a certain amount of freedom, that we work to increase our unstructured time. And that becomes important, especially if we're interacting with people, if we're exploring things, if we're learning about things, because you don't want to say, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I got to run off, and then your whole mindset becomes interrupted, or your whole conversation becomes interrupted when you have this great flow going. You want it to just flow and let it go where it's going to go and complete itself. So the less we can work by time structures, the better off we are. I know myself, when I'm in my writing phase, that I've got deadlines to meet, and the writing has to be done at a certain time, and these things like that. I can feel a difference in myself of that suffocation. I can feel that deprivation, that frustration, the different things come up in me because of that heavy structure. But the more when I get on the road, if I have freedom, if I have flexibility in my schedule, then it really changes things. So the more we can build freedom, the more we can make things unstructured, the better. And also, when we're working with things of value, it helps us to accept ourselves and to accept others better. So again, that's an inner relationship. The more we accept ourselves and we accept others for who they are, then the more we actually will increase the sense of value in our life. The more we increase the sense of value in our life, the less judgmental we become and the more accepting we become. So this is a powerful thing, because as we start to accept ourselves and others, we really start to appreciate and find that natural flow that is incredible. We start to embrace ourself, our God-given energy, our soul self, our soul's path. And we stop trying to force all these material world constructs on it. And people become more at ease. When you can accept them for who they are, even if you don't agree with them all the time, that acceptance creates an ease, and that opens up more discussions, and that opens up more experiences, and that allows them to become more comfortable. And the more comfortable that they are, then to be who they are, then the more you get to see them. The more you get to see who they really are, outside of the images and the appearances and the things that they have to present to the world. And that's where the real excitement is getting people to see people for who they are. Then we've got, again, encouraging that exploration. And this exploration aspect, that open spirit, so powerful. When we can just take off with no time schedules, no specific destination, I like to call them serendipity days, and just see what comes up, that exploration really nourishes the soul's energy. It really nourishes spirit and divine present in our life because we're just so open. We don't have anything closed off when we're in that space. And again, building that relationship and that connection with your environment, with your space, is so important when you do that. Again, because it's like having a child in many ways, right? And you start to really connect with that child, and you know whether that little sniffle is nothing or whether that little sniffle is becoming a disease, or, whatever it is, when something's not right with that child, and that child knows when something's not right with you. And it's the same thing with our environment. I've seen it over and over again with the different places that I've lived, even when, it's been vehicle life in the past. That vehicle became a kind of sacred space, and I really connected with it. My vehicle protected me. It stayed safe along the way. And when I'm in places like I'm in right at the moment, well, for another month and a half, the more I connect with my environment, the more I get to see of it. The more the wildlife comes around, the more it takes care of me. So it's a mutual relationship in there. When I open my heart up and I'm in it with love and I'm in it with openness and exploration and awe and wonder and appreciation and all of these things, then the more it will show me, the more it will give to me, the more it will take care of me. And this is a powerful, powerful resonance to have, because we have this both with the structure, with the building, with the address. We also have it with the land itself. And it's not just the physical components of the land, but it's the energetic vibration that connects in, and it can protect us. And it's like I had certain vibrations where I am right now that were really, really hard for me to be in. But this lake energy here also opened up a lot of things for me as well, and it offered a certain amount of protection for me because of my energetic connection with lakes. So I hope that gives you plenty to think about for the next month. I think this ran a little bit longer than I was anticipating. And, check out my website, check out the book, the 2024 book. I usually release it in the summer, so it's not going to be ready just yet, but it will be coming soon enough. And in the meantime, pick up a copy of the 2023 book. I just reduced the ebook version on it, and that's through Smashwords. If you go to my website, compassioncodes.com, you'll see a tab that says Goods. Under the Goods tab, you'll see the code journey, and it has the links to get you directly to the purchase pages for either paperback or ebook version. So anyways, I hope you'll enjoy that. I hope that, go in, check it out, get your copy, because you definitely want to know when these currents are coming and going. You definitely want to know, hey, when do I need to be focusing more on value in my life, and when do I need to buckle up and push through the responsibilities? I mean, these things are all part of creating value, right? Again, those cycles, working with the currents, working with what's natural in there. So take care, everybody. I will see you next month. I have one more video to cut from this space, and then I'm going to be on the road. I can't believe I'm going to be on the road in a month and a half. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm excited for it. I will see you soon. Take care.